Yuta versus Kenjaku, huh? Crazy how this used to be a complicated matchup. But then Yuta got Jacob's ladder. What's up, guys? That guy with a reaction here. Fun fact, I do been to have it on me and keep it on me. And another fun fact, we are here to do a breakdown / live reaction review and analysis of Big Hundreds. Yuta versus Kenjaku is not fair. If you couldn't tell, I'm something of a yapper. Just allow me. So please check out the original video. The link will be in the description down below. 100 is a fantastic anime content creator. They cover JJK, CSM, MHA. They cover a lot. They cover anime and manga, gosh darn it. If you somehow found me but didn't find 100, go check out 100. The link will be in the description down below, along with a link to the original video. Like I said, I'm going to yap a whole lot, so don't be shocked. You stuck here with me yapping. And thusly, despite this video only being 21 minutes and 13 seconds, I promise you, from the bottom of my left big toe, you're going to be here longer than that if you stay here. So if you want to check out the original video without me constantly pausing and yapping, link will be in the description down below. But with it being the case, let me go, well, I kind of already gave my thoughts in the intro. But Yuta versus Kenjaku, it was admittedly a very complicated matchup. This is essentially the matchup that determines number 3 in the verse. While you may find other individuals, I wonder where those other individuals are. But you may find other individuals who have certain other characters in contention for number 3 in the verse, whether that be like the narrative side of me that wants to argue for a certain farmer, or whether it be like the, well, matchup wise, this should go one way or another based on knowledge and information available and the lack of an answer to said knowledge and information being available for a certain heavily restricted duo. This is like the number 3 conversation. People like me who are out here possibly arguing for Maki and Toji based on how they matchup check everybody else, / people arguing for Kashimo pretty much solely off of narrative, we're the outliers. If you're asking who's number 3 in the verse, it is Yuta or Kenjaku, right? And about, let's see, it must be at this point, just based on, if I'm thinking of this correctly, about maybe 2 years ago, it would have been a more complicated matchup. It would have. Specifically in the context of these two just fighting. I'm not sure how 100 himself is going to do it. He may be doing this in the context of just like, maybe shifting the story a little bit. Maybe the sneak doesn't work. Maybe Takuma didn't work out as well as he did, so you'd actually have to fight Kenjaku. In that case, it's a little bit different, and it could still arguably be an extreme diff for Yuta. But in the case of, it's funny, because in the thumbnail, I don't think that's Kenjaku. I think that's just Geta. But regardless, very specifically, this matchup, before the reveal of Yuta having Jacob's ladder, was a matchup. Actually, it was, because, like, well, you could argue Yuta has Rika, a superior Shikigami, but especially a Prime Kenny had, like, millions of curses. Even on the low end, assuming that millions of curses that were released post the Shibuya incident weren't from Kenjaku himself, just assuming he gotten up to what JJK Zero Ghetto had, like 6,000 curses. He had 6,000 curses. He had the anti-gravity technique. He had beaten Yuki. He had an open barrier domain, which would be a hard counter to whatever Yuta's domain was going to end up being. He had all that. It was juicy. It was scrumptious. It was delicious. Right? It was a complicated matchup. But then, in chapter, it was like the 250s, right? Yuta was revealed to have Jacob's ladder. And unfortunately, Jacob's ladder is the hardest counter to Kenny's entire character. It's why a character like Hana, yes, that Hana, or Angel, whichever you want to call him, would beat Kenny. That's it. I know, I've said that before, people always look at me like, what are you talking about? It's literally the hardest counter imaginable. We know Kenjaku was able to maintain himself even in Curse Technique Burnout, despite being a living Curse Technique for all intents and purposes, because he's just a brain. But that was something he brings upon himself with Curse Technique Burnout through some special trick he does for himself. Jacob's ladder turns off Curse Techniques. Kenjaku is a living Curse Technique. Yuta doesn't even have to pop domain. He just needs to pop the ring. Boom, it's over. It's wraps. And you know, it's even worse, because even if Kenny were to domain that ring on Yuta, who has that 5-minute timer, it doesn't matter. Because if you'll remember, Hana is immune to barriers and barrier targeting. Why? Because the passive application of Jacob's ladder negates barriers. Just the passive, by the way. She doesn't have to use Jacob's ladder every single time to, like, pass the barrier. Just her passive extinguishment aura ignores barriers. And ultimately, remember, Kenjaku's barriers is not Sukuna's. They're both open barrier domains. That does not mean they have the same properties. So that means that Kenjaku's open barrier domain wouldn't even be able to target Yuta. So Yuta Jacob's ladders, it's as big as Hana's, and Kenny can't even escape that. Kenny is not faster than 15 Finger Mega Nerf. Ain't faster than even Giga Nerfed Big Kuna. That Angel hit again with Jacob's ladder. It is a massive AoE light beam that instantly one-shots Kenjaku. So what once would have been a really complicated matchup based on like, oh, how do you think the open barrier goes? Do you think Yuta gets small ball after going like all that complicated stuff in the matchup kind of goes away. It's just done. Yuta slides on the ring, Jacob's ladder. If he does anything else, the battle takes a while. But he's eventually going to do Jacob's ladder. Like, he tries to go band for band with Kenjaku in a domain expansion, that'd be stupid. Even if he has small ball, the small ball, since it's made of cursed energy, would still be directed by Kenjaku's open barrier domain. Kenjaku would just stall, bada bing, bada boom. It's a domain fight that's not worth fighting, right? Like, it's just not worth it. Yuta goes for Jacob's ladder. He's not stupid, right? I've seen a whole bunch of, admittedly very funny, I've seen a whole bunch of very funny Yuta slander going around, but like, he's not an idiot. Kenjaku's a living curse technique. You go immediately to the thing in your bag that turns off curse techniques, and it's wraps. And unfortunately, even as fast as Kenny is, and as fast as their curse summoning is, I just don't see them stopping Yuta from, ooh, 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 and then boom, Jacob's ladder diff everybody. Because realize, Jacob's ladder hard counters everything Kenny. I'm just talking about it one-shotting Kenny, but realize, what does Jacob's ladder do? Extinguishes all evil. What are curses? Literal manifestations of evil. They all get one-shot. The anti-gravity engine? Cool. That's a curse technique. Oh, can't use it. Kenny himself, living curse technique? Oh, dead. Like, that's the thing. Everything, Kenny's only option is to run. Like, he literally cannot fight Yuta. That's why, and now, I mean, because he didn't even know Yuta had Jacob's ladder. But in a matchup where Kenny knows that Yuta has that, his only option is to leave. He can't fight Yuta. It's actually horrific. And that's why, if I am, like, if I'm being normie about it, right? And I put my Maki and Toji biases aside. Because I'm being straight biased. Admittedly biased, I have factual support, but bias. Yuta's number 3 in the verse because he hard matchup checks Kenny. And then I kick Kenny down to 5 because I think he loses the Maki and Toji. Another video for another time. We'll cook that separately. In fact, I already cooked it once on the main channel, back on the pencil. But like, there are other Toji versus Kenjaku videos or Maki versus Kenjaku videos that I can go into, and I probably will react to and talk about it again. But regardless, this was a matchup. Now it isn't, so I'm interested to see how Hunter's going to do it. If I had to hazard a guess, Hunter's going to spend the first chunk of the video going over their respective stats. He's going to spend the second chunk of the video going over the respective abilities, and then the battle's just going to be Jacob's ladder GG. Right? Because like that's kind of it. Because here's the thing, I'll be even real with you. Kenny should have better stats than Yuta. Because Kenny is Geto. And Geto was able to deal with fully manifested Rika. Not the Husk version Yuta has left over. The Rika that has like remnants of Rika Orimoto's will. No, he was able to keep it with the full vengeful curse spirit. And like a bloodlusted Yuta. Admittedly, Yuta got stronger. But like, he didn't ever surpass fully manifested vengeful spirit Rika. So like, Kenny, by being Geto, should have enough stats to compete with that. I don't think Yuta's gonna one-shot Kenny in a physical fight, nothing like that. I think Kenny / Geto has better stats than Yuta physically. Heck, apparently Geto has better grip strength than Gojo. So like, clearly better stats, at least for Yuta. But I think Kenny is still probably weaker than Rika. Even though, like, I mean, playful class, I don't know, it's weird. It is a weird interaction there. Because technically, he should even be stronger than Rika, but then that raises weird questions about, like, Ryu? Like, I don't know, it's a mess. But even then, Ryu seemed to be, like, above Rika, and their interactions say different. It's a mess. But essentially, I think Kenny has better stats. I think Kenny has a solid enough bag, and I think it's a really good bag that is wreaks havoc for the rest of the verse, and even in some cross verses, as long as you equalize speed. I think all that is cool, fine, and dandy. But the fact that he has the literal light switch, the fact that he can just turn Kenjaku off, it's raps. So I'm interested to see how Hunter structures this video. So let's not waste more time. Let's hop right into it.
In the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuta would be able to take the head of Kenjaku after an extensive fight against the reality manipulating comedian Takaba Fumihiko, with Yuta versus Kenjaku being a matchup that people have always wanted to see throughout the series. And with it being delivered in this way, I think it's clear that Gege wanted to leave it up to interpretation. So in this video, that's exactly what
I like that little pause in there. He left it up to me. And like, that's the thing. At that moment, literally, the panel, in that moment, the bush camper meme started, but then he got Jacob's ladder. And then I don't know, the matchup kind of got, like, I mean, it's fine. I think one-sided stop matchups are still good to cover. But man, like, all the intrigue behind the battle kind of just went, oh, we can just turn Kenny. It's like, how do I put it? It's like whenever you're playing something and like you have the best of the best in your kit. For a fighting game player, you have the best neutral. You have the best level 3. You have the best everything, right? Super top tier character. We're talking season 1 DBFZ Bardock levels of dumb, stupid, broken. But you know, you could play pre-buff Krillin if you want to make it fun. Like, I don't know, that's not a good example. Essentially, it's hard. I think it literally is hard because it's like the matchup went from super duper interesting, highly contentious, we could talk about this for a while, to it's a no diff. I'm not sure how like, unless like you're talking about like a character matchup or like a deck matchup for anyone. I might play people who play TCG, a deck matchup, but then suddenly one deck gets like the perfect card or gets randomly buffed, or for the character case, like one character gets randomly buffed, another character gets nerfed by the buff the other character got, and then the matchup's not there anymore. You now need to respec. Unfortunately, now you have to respec for Kenjaku. Like, if you want characters to beat Yuta, can't use Kenjaku. You gotta stick to Gojo, Sugana, and you gotta make some other arguments, because really, Kenny and Lone ain't enough no more. What's it?
I'll be doing. I'm going to go through the character's stats and abilities, do a bit of analysis on how Jujutsu Kaisen fights typically go so I can have a good estimate as to how it play out, and lastly, I'll give you guys who I believe would win. I do have to say this.
So, okay, so he's structuring it typical. That's fine. I like it. Let's see.
So, Yuta and Kenjaku have ridiculous amounts of options in their movesets. So to me, personally, this is the hardest matchup in the series to outright declare a winner on.
I disagree. I think it's, well, I've already gone over it. I think it's one of the easiest matchups. Because, like, there we go. You know what? This is the better example. Going back to the original character analogy I had, in the case of Yuta versus Kenjaku specifically, it's like when you're playing a fighting game, and you do have a character with a whole bunch of options, but they have one option, one button, that you can click, and you know it's over, right? So, like, all the options are there, but they kind of don't matter. That's kind of how I see the matchup now. Yeah, Yuta has cursed speech, he has sky manipulation, he has future sight, he has this, that's like it, right? Oh no, he has Shrine, he has all this. But Jacob's ladder is right there. He has Drew Shikigami thinking, Jacob's ladder. Like, it's like the Green Goblin mask calling out to Yuta, like, use me, Walker boy. You know you want to load if this battle so you can get back to cracking Maki. Use me. And of course, Yuta's gonna use, like, he's gonna use it. But I get why. Like, you don't make a 3-minute video, right? So let's see.
Way too many factors when it comes to each of these guys individually, and when all of these factors clash, it's even more up in the air. So I will be deciding the battle on odds rather than clear cut, more of a who would I bet on if I really had to bet on it. With that said, I'm gonna cut the intro short and get straight into the video. Yuta Okkotsu is the original protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen. It was introduced to the series as a special grade sorcerer the moment he would join the school. Only 4 characters in the main cast have ever obtained such a title. This includes the likes of Yuki Tsukumo and Satoru Gojo, 2 overwhelmingly powerful sorcerers. Of course, this was due to cursing Rika as a
I just realized he had to throw in and Geto too, because Geto was a special grade for a good reason. Then once again, the special grade tier, it's kind of like, I feel the same way about the special grade tier that I feel about for my 7 Deadly Sin scalers out there when someone says commandment tier. Like, what do you mean by that? What do you, like, there are like 3 levels. Really, there are 4. There are 4 levels of commandment tier. There's Fraudrin. Then you got your Gallons and your Melasculas. And really, you got your... Well, you can put Gallon, Melascula, and Monspeed and Dairy kind of in the same tier. Then you have Zeldris. Then you have... Like, there are 4 different levels where you say commandment tier. I'd say the same thing for the Archangels, but, like, there's only 4 of them. So like, it's like 2 tiers. It's like the top tier Archangels and the mid-tier Archangels. I guess, like, top and low tier. Same thing with, like, 7 Deadly Sin level. Like, Sin level, despite Nakama consistently using it as, like, a thing in 4 Nights, Sin level is very vague and very broad. Because you have characters like Base Diane, and you have True Magic Mel. You even have Dance Diane, and you have True Magic Mel. Like, it's not the same. Let's see.
Child, but after he would break this curse connected to Rika and be dropped to grade 4, he would easily be able to work his way back up to a special grade. Yuta holding this title already makes him one of the most powerful characters in the series, and his stats only reinforce this. Since stats and curse energy reinforcement go hand in hand, I'll just cover the 2 together. Yuta has displayed the strength and curse energy reinforcement combined to be able to combat special grade curses and even sorcerers on the level of special grade many times over. He was more than confident that he could take take on Kurushi, a special grade curse without anything but his stats, and he almost pulled it off. He's also been able to one-shot Choso.
Kuro, you want to talk about a sleeper matchup demon, bro. You want to talk about a dumb, stupid sleeper matchup demon, bro. It's Kuro. Because tell me why you can make a real solid argument that Kuro beats Hikari. Yeah, Hikari. That like the character who people argue is like top 10. Yeah, like there's a real solid argument there. Because of Kuro almost beating just regular Yuta, forcing Yuta to resort to external RCT. Tell me how you feel about it. When I say there's a non-zero chance that Kuro could take Yuji for a while. Okay, I'm kidding. It's a non-zero as in it's like 2%. Like, Kurushi? You gotta grind. Don't sleep. But he get one shot by Jacob's Ladder too. It all comes back to Jacob's Ladder. It all comes back. It's like that. I don't even know where the meme came from. It's like I don't have a pocket watch with me, but it's like that rabbit meme. It's like it all. Clock is ticking. It all comes back to Jacob's Ladder. So Kuro, matchup demon. Don't sleep on Kuro, but at the same time, not Jacob's Ladder go crazy. What's it?
Who had just defeated Naoya, who was certainly the strongest grade 1 sorcerer at the time, and is someone who can take more punishment than most people in the series, so knocking out Choso is quite noteworthy. Yuta's reinforcement has also allowed...
Though notably, well, let's see, he's probably gonna go right into it right now. I better say, the Choso stuff, the Kurushi stuff, none of that well, I suppose it's like domain buff Yuta, but even outside of domain, Yuta technically does make Sukuna bleed with a punch. Which is more than I can say for Maki. Let's see.
Allowed him to eat attacks from some of the hardest hitting characters in the series as a whole. When fighting against Ryu, the character who was stated to have the highest cursed energy output in the series, Ryu would state that attack...
You know what the funny thing is though? Like here's the thing. I don't want to say the Ryu Rider, right? Because there are people out there who glaze Ryu too. Shout out to all my fellow Ryu Riders out there. We love Ryu. But I want to give him the series so badly, but it just like this is a case where my brain, like factually, you could definitely say the series and there's minimal contention, but it doesn't feel right to say that Ryu has higher output than Gojo and Sukuna. It doesn't feel right. I don't think it is. Like especially considering like you can argue Sukuna is exempt from both statements that are made. Mainly because no one probably made Sukuna go all out in the Heian era, so no one actually knew his full output, and anyone who did see it died, so they couldn't report it. And Sukuna technically isn't in the culling games, kind of, sort of, because Yuji's the registered player. Like Sukuna's in there registered under Yuji, I'm pretty sure. So like Sukuna may be able to wiggle out of that statement, or you can just make an argument that at the time where Sukuna was registered and that statement is made, it's before Sukuna's back at full power. So like there are a couple ways you can skirt Sukuna around it, but Gojo, like technically, he also escapes it because he's not in the culling games and he's not a part of history. So like, or at least a history to the point where Kenny makes a statement. So like those two actually can kind of succinctly escape it, and that's what I have to do for my own sanity. Because like Ryu actually hitting harder than Gojo and Sukuna just feels wrong, but like honestly it isn't. Like it's weird. Like notably Sukuna just doesn't do as much damage with just regular physical hits. I mean he does though. Like I mean no he does. But it's just not, it doesn't seem as grievous. I don't know. That's a whole debate back and forth in my head. I may have to make just a Ryu exclusive video just to talk about that. Let's see.
Yuta is similar to knocking against a massive water tank. This is the same Ryu whose output is at a high enough level to eat a casual dismantle from a 16-finger Sukuna. This Sukuna is on an entirely different level from anybody that isn't Gojo and could speed blitz and one-shot anybody in the cast. Ryu having his curse energy output boosts his stats to a level where he can survive an attack from somebody that gaps him this massively says a lot, especially since Sukuna was completely intending on eliminating Ryu there and then. So the fact that Yuta can eat regular attacks from somebody who has their physical stats boosted to such a high level says a lot about his durability and curse energy reinforcement.
And that is true, that's true. I thought he was going to say he could also damage Ryu, but notably Yuta is the point I point out. I mean, obviously Rika does it. It's like, it's fine. Rika's there and Rika and Yuta are a common pair. But Yuta, I always say this to all the Yuta fans out there. You can never show me a panel of Yuta making Ryu bleed with a punch. Or a kick or anything like that. A sword? We never see it. So like, you can definitely argue Yuta could probably damage Ryu with the sword. He damaged Sukuna with the sword. But at the same time, Don't downplay my boy by saying Yuta only did damage through Rika, who was fully manifest at the time, and sky manipulation, whether it be the reflection of Ryu's technique or Duraneg. So there we go. Let's see.
On top of this, within his domain, Yuta would be able to fight against a weakened Sukuna and withstand many of his attacks. Although he was weakened, it's still Sukuna, and this Sukuna was much more powerful than everybody else at the time. Yuta also has insane amount.
And that is true, right? I guess to be fair, the greatest thing about like Yuta durability wise in his domain, his best domain feat is like literally like eating a cleave to the face. Like he just straight gets palmed in the dome and still rips Sukuna's tongue out. Gets cleaved directly on the dome. It doesn't even matter. He eats it like it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack on the side. Which is crazy. Which is still crazy. Because unlike Maki, where you can make like arguments that, well, cleave probably wouldn't be as effective on her because she has no cursed energy. So she ate a Sukuna cleave with basically no damage, but like it's still not as impressive because she has 0 cursed energy. So cleave didn't have anything to adjust to really. It's a different kind of thing. But Yuta? Oh, Yuta's got cursed energy to adjust it. So it is crazy. It kind of just, I know it's like Giga Nerf Sukuna at that point, but still. What's it?
Of cursed energy reserves, the second highest in the series. Yes, he even has more than Satoru Gojo himself. Yuta has so much cursed energy that his reserves are likened to a bottomless well. The only problem is, Yuta has so much cursed energy that he doesn't really feel the need to control it well. And because of this, he's never really trained in his cursed energy efficiency. So this is why despite the amount of cursed energy he has, we still manage to see him exhausting himself at times.
Which is what, like, notably Yuta having... But I'll give this excuse. I'll give this excuse for Yuta, very specifically in Sendai, where he ran on cursed energy. It's implied he caught all 7 bodies that same day. And he didn't use his technique. So he was out there. We don't know. It was probably random water sorcerers, right? We never see them. He one-shot Drew. But I at least give Yuta a pass on that. He did, but then again, he was like untouched. He didn't have like even a drop of blood on him. But he did catch like 7 bodies. I think including Drew up to that point. Then he fought Ryu and Uro who could actually damage him. And he also had to heal a whole bunch from Kuru. Like, he did have to go through a lot. But I do understand, like, pointing out that, yeah, Yuta has boundless curse energy, but it's like boundless in heavy quotation mark. You know what I'm talking about? It'd be like that. But let me see so.
Despite this, Yuta having so much cursed energy supplies him with a multitude of benefits. He can cover and reinforce his entire body in cursed energy at all times, so all of his physical attacks can't be predicted like most sorcerers who only imbue the part of their body that they're gonna use cursed energy with. Yuta can also send massive shockwaves of cursed energy as an attack toward his opponents if he so pleases, as we saw in chapter 174. When it comes to speed, Yuta has some of the highest in the series, as he's comparable to other heavy hitters such as Yuji, Akari, and Maki. When fighting against Sukuna, we'd even see that within his own domain, him and Yuji were running side by side at almost the same speed. To be fair to Yuji though, a domain expansion does boost the stats of its user, so under normal circumstances, Yuta may not be as fast as Yuji, but he's up there with the best regardless.
Like, Yuta's speed is kind of funky. Like, and you may be like, whoa. Reaction man. Because I realized I referred to myself as Pencil earlier. But this is the reaction channel. That guy Pencil over the main channel. But Yuta's speed is kind of funky. Because, like, what speed feats do we have for Yuta? Right? Like, at least speed feats that put him on that, like, Cursia. Heck, even Naobito doesn't, like, the question I always bring up, right? Especially when I'm talking about, like, Yuta versus Maki, for example. Or Yuta versus Toga. Does Yuta really escape the Naobito statement of him being the second fastest sorcerer? I don't think so. I don't think Yuta does. Because it's never stated that he does. And we see modern Yuta before we meet Naobito and get that statement. So, like, there's that. Then Sukuna explicitly notes that their durability went up, but not their speed. And then, like, Yuta doesn't ever really dodge a dismantle outside of, like, one. Like, he dodges that one little net that Sukuna throws out at him outside the domain. And then he never dodges them again, even when he's domain buff, and Sukuna keeps getting nerfed. And then, like, every hit he lands on Sukuna is when Sukuna either A, isn't taking him seriously outside domain, and that's only, what, one singular hit, while Rika is double teaming, and then while they're ganking, while Sukuna is mostly standing still. He's not really, like, moving too much. It's like, what speed feats does Yuta really have? Like, I've seen the memery, right? Like, Yuta's best speed feat, he walks surprisingly fast. But, like, I'm not saying it's that bad, but I don't think he's faster than Cursia. I don't even think he's faster than Naruto. That's why I think like his speed stat is kind of funky. It's kind of funky, but don't get me wrong, he's not the only character to have like a kind of funky speed stat. You know who else has a kind of funky speed stat? Speed stat? Lord, kind of funky speed stat. Kenjaku. What is Kenjaku's speed? Because he doesn't escape the Naruto statement either, and he like where you could make a weird kind of roundabout argument, say, oh, just because we saw what JJK modern Yuta looks like, it doesn't mean that was like, maybe you could argue we didn't see him in person, that was just like an image, but like obviously Kenjaku was modern, that's why I thought of that image of Yuta, so like he knew what modern JJK Yuta was, but like, you can make it a statement for that. But Kenjaku definitely doesn't escape that sorcerer statement. He's not revealed as Kenjaku at the time, but it's Geto, and he's exactly the same as Geto, and that statement is still made well after Geto about Naruto being the second fastest sorcerer. So like, that's an Outer Prime Naruto, mind you. So like, I don't know, though. I don't know. It's rough. It's rough for these two characters speed-wise. Mainly in like, not in most matchups though. Literally just against Maki and Toji. Because like, if you're not Cursia level, or if you're not beyond Cursia level, like a whole Blitz tier above Cursia, I'm not sure you're hitting those things. But sorry, agendas are bleeding. Let's see.
Importantly, Yuta has great battle intelligence. He'd be able to instantly devise a plan to run the gauntlet of Sendai Colony's combatants, and it actually managed to work out, with Yuta being able to sparingly use all of his abilities and curse energy to fight against 4 opponents and actually managed to win. Yuta also
really 11. Because I think, well, it's either 11 or 10. I forget if Druve is included in the 7 people. Because remember, I think Yuta has 35 points after slaying Druve, maybe? So I think it'd be 6, because it's the 4, then the 6 that he slayed already. So like, Yuta was catching body. So I agree. Yuta's battle IQ, it actually is pretty high. Let's see.
Managed to devise multiple plans to take down Sukuna in the massive Sukuna raid. So with that said, I do believe that Yuta does have very high battle intelligence. Moving on from his base stats, we'll now cover his abilities. His most important one is his ability to manifest Rika if need be. Rika is an insanely powerful cursed spirit that's directly linked to Yuta, and when partially manifested, she turns any one-on-one to a one-on-2. She's quite reliable and insanely powerful. She's able to hang with the strongest of sorcerers. Most impressive was a weakened Sukuna alongside Yuta and Yuji while she was partially manifested.
Though in Sukuna's defense and Rika's like anti-defense, 1, even fully manifested, apparently she's not Ryu level, at least according to the narrator, and 2, I don't think she ever actually damages Sukuna. It's like she hits him like this specific like double knockdown, it goes into like, it moves Sukuna, but like, I don't think I could even pull up a single panel of like Rika actually making Sukuna bleed. Am I tweaking? Maybe this is meant to be a panel. Maybe this is right here meant to be a panel. But again, I forget how this ends up working out. But like, maybe this is it. But like, she doesn't actually do too much damage despite how strong she should be. But let's see.
And this is only the beginning of what she's actually capable of. Yuta has the ability to fully manifest Rika by placing a wedding ring onto his finger, and this manifestation will last for only 5 minutes. When Rika is fully manifested, she transforms into a more monstrous state, with her stats being even higher than they already are. This transformed Rika had the ability to fend off Ryu Ishigori on her own and keep him busy the entire time Yuta fought against Uro, with Rika serving as an external storage for both cursed techniques that Yuta has copied and all cursed tools that he's obtained. He now has the ability to access everything within her. The abilities that are within Rika include cursed speech, giving him the ability to turn words into reality, sky manipulation, allowing Yuta to turn the sky into a tangible surface and deflect attacks, or shatter the surface on top of his opponents to deal massive damage to them. Jacob's Ladder, allowing Yuta to shoot
Here it is. How long did it take to get into the video? 6 minutes and 19 seconds. There's the win con. So let's see. He brings it up. I'll see how long it takes for him to say this is the reason why Yuta wins. Let's see. If he doesn't like bring up Jacob's Ladder in the same way that I do, I'd be intrigued. So let's see.
massive beams of light onto his opponents in order to extinguish their cursed techniques while doing tons of damage to them. Cleave and dismantle, letting Yuta cut and slash anything that he makes physical contact with. And lastly, Charles' G War Staff while using his katana as a medium, allowing him to see the future of his opponents with the more attacks that he lands on them. I think it goes without saying that Yuta has an arsenal of abilities. Yuta, on top of all this, can also deploy Rika as a remote turret that can fire curse energy blast as he fights his opponents, or he could stand alongside Rika to charge and maximize the power of these blasts in order to wipe anybody off the earth. After Rika, Yuta has one last trump card, his domain expansion, Authentic Mutual Love. This domain expansion manifests itself by creating a massive field of crosses and katanas stuck into the ground, and the domain itself is encircled by ropes knotted together that resemble marriage ceremonies. Yuta first gets his stats boosted by his domain like with all other users in their respective domain. Then, every katana contained in the domain expansion is imbued with a random curse technique of his that he has copied before. He only discovers which technique is contained in which katana upon grabbing the katana that he wants to use. Lastly, the sure hit of this domain expansion is one of Yuta's copied techniques that he gets to specifically choose as the sure hit. However, if Yuta chooses this attack as a sure hit, it can only be used as a sure hit. It will not be contained in any katanas. Yuta could hypothetically use Yuji's cleave on anybody that he fights within the domain, while
Actually better. It's better than Yuji's cleave. It's Suguna's cleave. It's the original. Because Yuji hadn't had Lock Cleave at that, or Shrine at that point. So it actually does have Suguna's Shrine, which is much better than Yuji's. And notably, I'm in the camp that Yuta held back on this. I think this cleave could have done way more damage if he actually wanted to cleave Suguna to oblivion, but he didn't, because trying to save Megami and all. Let's see.
piling on attacks from his other curse techniques using the katanas. This domain is quite broken, and you can argue that it's the best in the series. As for extra abilities,
I'd say, in terms of sheer lethality, like if you just pop domain and you're fastening your opponent, I'd say it's still UV, right? Because it's an instant stun lock, right? And then that leads into a like UV into purple is the smoothest 1-2 combo, period, point blank. Malevolent Shrine is very, very good as open barrier, so it's like a good counter against other domain barriers. And notably, only Satoru Gojo himself and Akari Kenji are implied to even be able to survive that darn thing. So like, it's also mostly a one shot, but still, arguably not the best because it's not as instantaneously perfect for a setup 1-2 combo, even though it has its own 1-2 combo, domain into Fuga. Then Kenny's open barrier, but like it just seems to be Uzumaki, so like it's like you know, it's fine. It costs her spirits though, so it may not be the best. I'd say yeah, Yuta's probably number 3, mainly because like the freedom and flexibility of it. Like you don't know what's happening until it happens, and I think that on top of the fact that the sure hit is entirely selectable, like he could just make a closed barrier Malevolent Try if he wants to. He has Suguna's cleave. He could just do that. He could make, well, he did. He made the sure hit Jacob's Ladder. He could just turn your curse technique off, possibly stopping you from domaining if he's keeping the pause on you and preventing you from symbol domaining up to avoid it and then domaining back. He could do sky manipulation and then probably just hit you with consistent thin icebreakers over and over. Like, he always has a good op. The only, like, non-good surefire domain hit is, like, Charles's. But even then, having perfect clairvoyance while inside his domain, if you don't have a domain to counter back, it's still pretty good. Let's see.
Yuta can also heal himself with reverse curse technique if need be, and he's one of the few able to use it at the highest levels, as he can not only heal himself, but those around him as well. Lastly, Yuta should have some advanced knowledge of barrier techniques and how to manipulate them, as he'd get into a domain battle with Sukuna when taking over Gojo's body, and viewing his memories, being able to replicate his previous methods of contesting Sukuna in domain clashes. Now, this about covers Yuta, so let's head over to Kenjaku, the most evil.
I mean, yeah, I'm fine with giving you the small ball. At least in the, ironically, where before there would have been something to worry about in like a matchup that matters. Like Kenjaku. Now a table ladder doesn't matter. So like, the small ball doesn't really change much for Yuta when it comes to it, because like if Yuta doesn't need small ball like it's same with a normal domain, and he loses to Suguna, regardless of it's small ball or not, and against Kenny, he doesn't need it. So like, because he just changed his ladder stuff. So, notably, small ball doesn't even matter. I used to be a lot more curious about that when I was like, oh, well, he probably doesn't have small ball, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, sure, give him a small ball.
Sorcerer in history, and the man who has achieved the impossible many times over. To start with Kenjaku's strength, he doesn't have too many showings of physical combat, but he's shown to combat Yuki Tsukuma in direct, hand-to-hand combat, and be able to flatten Choso a couple of times when fighting him. Kenjaku is also in possession of a special grade sorcerer's body, so I'm sure he has the physical strength on the level of other special grades bare minimum, and I'm sure you can make a case for it being even higher. When it comes to Kenjaku's speed, we actually have a good amount of information. Kenjaku's reaction speed is certainly high, as in chapter.
Okay, so he kind of glazed over. I would just give it on the ghetto feats of like dealing with Yuta and Rika. He kind of glazed over. But then again, I don't blame him for glazing over Kenny. It doesn't matter. It's not enough. He's not strong enough nor fast enough to blitz Yuta before he puts the ring on Jacob's Ladder. So I get why he glazed over it, but he just has Ghetto's body. So like he could have brought up Ghetto physically contending with Rika and JJK0, Rika and Bloodlusted Yuta, like doing it pretty easily while holding back on Yuta, at least according to Kenny and like other people's interpretations. Like, so there are definitely things he could have done to give Geto a little bit more strength plays. It's kind of crazy. We just glaze over that. But he's right in the sense that outside fighting Yuki, Kenny doesn't fight anybody. Takuma doesn't count, and he gets one shot. He doesn't fight Yuta. He loses to Yuta. So like, he's right in the fact that Kenny doesn't have it. But since Kenny is Geto, you just use Geto feats. At least that's how I do it. But then again, you do what you got to do. The agenda must be maintained. I get it.
134 until the end of the Shibuya incident, we see Kenjaku be able to either dodge or block every single attack thrown his way with relative ease, while not even paying attention for majority of the time. He was even able to easily dodge a piercing blood from Choso while talking his off. Kenjaku would also be shown to dodge and parry many of Yuki and Choso's combined attacks when they would jump him while his curse technique was burned out within the Tomb of the Star. Also, Kenjaku, after being exhausted from his battle against Takaba, was able to react to Yuta sneaking him, but he just wasn't able to react to the virus slap Boogie Woogie from Toto that came right after.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, it's a good reaction feat for Kenny that he was able to react to Yuta, but it's still a bad. You know what's funny thing is, it's a bad reaction feat too, though. It's unironically, he actually ran into like a Yuji issue there, where his body moved faster than his current energy. Because remember, the anti-gravity engine, which Kenny goes to activate, gets cut off, which implies that he was able to turn and physically react to Yuta being there, but he wasn't able to activate his reverse curse technique in time. Because remember, it's an AoE, so the fact that you didn't get affected by gravity at all means that Kenny's CT activation was actually just too slow, which isn't the best. It really isn't the best. Though the Viber Slap did help, like, it's an AoE. Should have affected Yuta anyway if he was able to get it off, but it literally gets cut off. Like his dome piece.
Kenjaku's durability and endurance go hand in hand and make him quite annoying to deal with. When first battling his rival Yuki, she'd be able to punch directly through both of his arms, landing a punch on his face and sending him flying through the barrier that they were fighting in. This was an attack from her technique, Star Rage. This technique giving Yuki the ability to add virtual mass onto herself, and she applies this technique in battle by enhancing her physical stats with force equivalent to the mass that she has given herself at that moment. The amount of mass that she can apply to herself seems to be limitless in theory, but due to her body, she does have to put a cap on it. Despite this, Kenjaku clearly shows his limits in durability here, but surviving an attack as powerful as this is still impressive. You
wanna know a hilarious thing though? It kind of goes nowhere. Like, and I know the Yuki fans are gonna be like, how? This isn't even a Yuki video. How is he slandering Yuki? It's my job. I must do it. But, with it being the case, okay. She's able to damage Kenny. You know who else is able to damage Kenny? Yuta. Are you saying Yuta's extremely strong now? But he used a sword though. Yeah. And? Yuki couldn't even knock the man out with that punch. Sure, it broke both of his arms, but other characters could do that. If Yuta could remove his head, he could definitely remove his arms. I don't know. Yuki does it. She ain't got all the... That's her one good feat. She got one good feat. Oh, but the special great curse she one shot. What's its durability, huh? Like you, I know, I'm messing around a bit. Like, obviously, if she was able to knock off his arms, she'd probably be able to do the same thing to, like, a Rika or something like that. Because Rika wasn't able to knock off Geto's arms when she was a fully manifested vengeful cursed spirit. Like, I get that. I'm messing around. Sorry. Let me leave the Yuki fans alone before they absolutely annihilate me. That's it.
Yuki and Kenjaku's battle continues, her ability becomes weaker, and he's actually able to tank attacks from it thereon. This is certainly special grade level durability, and some of the highest we've seen, but his endurance is even higher. Kenjaku has never been shown reeling or showing signs of discomfort when being hurt. The most we've seen out of him is droplets of sweat after Yuki would shatter both of his hands and have them hanging off of his arms, but he would heal right after and brush it off. From all we've seen in Jujutsu Kaisen, I would say without a doubt that Kenjaku has the highest endurance in the series. Even when Yuta would finish...
I see what he means. Especially if he's gonna go in like the whole being able to talk while headless and then do things while headless. I get that. But that has to be Sukuna, right? Like the actual character with the highest endurance, like, it's Sukuna. It's gotta be, like, it's Sukuna. You see all the stuff that man went through? Like, it's gotta be Sukuna. But I guess Kenny is a good number 2, especially with this feat in particular. Like, this is a crazy endurance feat. He is literally just the brain, though, so I always able to do this. But, like, still, pretty good endurance feat. I get it.
finish him off, he kept that smile on his face. When it comes to battle intelligence, Kenjaku has the highest in the series, being able to glance at Takaba and very quickly figure out what comedian does upon interacting with it. When coming to the conclusion that his own curse techniques will not work against Takaba,
Kenny versus Sukuna in terms of battle IQ should go to Kenny. But like you can make a solid argument for Sukuna just because of like creating World Slash. So like it's a 50-50. I mean, like Kenny just has more battle experience, but at the same time, Sukuna like that. Then why is this video turning into a Sukuna Glacier? First it was about to turn into a Yuki anti-Glacier Sash. Now it's turning into a Sukuna Slopping Fest. Hold on. Let's go back to the video.
he states that every sorcerer has a weakness despite this, and instantly begins to heckle him in order to dismantle the technique. It works. Breaking Takaba's confidence in himself as a comedian allowed Kenjaku to overcome the technique of comedian itself, a technique that would be arguably impossible for any other character to naturally understand, let alone break the way that he did.
In chapter 205, Kenjaku when battling Yuki would be able to instantly pick up on the specifics of her technique after taking one attack from her, pointing out that the mats that she uses does not affect her direct because her speed does not decrease when her star rage is active, finding a way to exploit this ability that defies concepts at the very end of their battle. In this same chapter, Kenjaku is also able to accurately guess that Yuki has way more up her sleeve and that using domain expansion instantly was the best option against her no matter how this battle goes. Kenjaku also uses this intelligence to get out of situations where he needs to react instantly, showing how much wit he has as a fighter. For example, the previously mentioned head spin to avoid Choso's piercing blood point blink and using his cursed spirit manipulation to lure Yuki in directly while having her believe that he was preparing an attack with his other techniques, but instead surprising her with a Uzumaki from his cursed spirit manipulation and defeating her there. Kenjaku was also able to devise a plan that did defeat Satoru Gojo and had him sealed. It was a ridiculously multi-layered plan to a point where the exact day and time it took place was crucial to its success. Despite how much was required to get it done, he still managed to overcome Gojo and seal him away. Kenjaku was also able.
I'd say that's a bit more like just general IQ than battle IQ though. But like once again, we're just going over Kenny's mental feats because we gotta give him something before we say he gets one shot by Jacob Blatt. Let's see.
To create the 1,000-year plan of the Culling Game and successfully execute it. Kenjaku is also the only sorcerer except for Sukuna who can transform others into cursed objects after death. Sukuna has the ability to replicate almost anything he sees, so due to this, I will consider him to be a sorcerer who can potentially do this as well. Kenjaku's ability to quickly pick up on an ability and then dismantle or navigate around it is extremely overwhelming for anybody that would have to face him, and in my opinion, makes him more formidable than anybody else that can be compared to him. And he displays his trait with finesse against abilities that negate concepts and ignore the rules of the world itself. On top of all his stats, Kenjaku is one of the characters with the highest skill in hand-to-hand combat in the entire series. For most of his entire run, he's been unmatched in hand-to-hand combat by any character, excluding Yuki with her fully powered Star Rage. People may argue otherwise, but I don't think skill alone is something that can combat this ability. Kenjaku was able to really dominate anybody else he's faced. It was only placed on the back foot when it came to fighting Yuki, Choso, and Garuda with no curse technique all at once.
Oh, here we go. Never mind. Strength ranking. Yeah, ignoring Toji and Maki, Kenjaku and Gojo are about the same level after this. Now you have Fushiguro Mai. The only character who I'd say is probably better than it's Sukuna. Let me not play these games. It's Sukuna. And then maybe Toji and Maki just because of their like training in the Kukuru unit, but like that's it. Like Kenny's been fighting for 1,000 years. In all types, like he's had to use hand-to-hand a lot. He didn't always have CSM, so like it's probable that even he's above that. But then again, who knows? Genuinely, who knows? Just because like Maki and Toji's like own narrative and stuff like that. But yeah, Kenny's definitely up there in terms of hand-to-hand. He's more skilled than pretty much everybody we see, with rare exception. Just being like Sukuna, because also Sukuna has extra hands. So it's kind of unfair, but like still, I don't know. And like maybe Maki and Toji, just because like Maki and Toji have their whole perfect body thing, plus their extreme training and stuff like that in hand-to-hand specifically. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see.
He was also stated by Gege Akatami himself to be one of the best hand-to-hand combatants in the series. Moving on to his overall skill as a sorcerer, you can make the case that he is the best in the series. He's over 1,000 years old with many techniques and feats to back up his name. Kenjaku is touted as the second greatest barrier user by Tengen herself. He created the Cursed Womb death paintings in an attempt to evolve humanity past its current state. And honestly, you can assume that Kenjaku can use every kind of technique relating to base cursed energy manipulation in the series, even the restricted ones such as simple domain and falling balls of emotion due to his previous possession of Noritoshi Kamo. From here, we'll be going over everything relating to his cursed energy.
That's actually true. I mean, Simple Domain is a little bit weird, but if Yuki was able to reverse engineer Simple Domain after seeing it, Kenny could do it too. So that's like, that's very likely. And Falling Boss Emoji is right, because he was once, he technically showed the wrong Kamo, but still, he was the head of the Kamo clan. The Falling Boss Emotion is exclusive to the big three families. Once again, none of this stops Jacob's ladder. TikTok! None of this stops Jacob's ladder. Let's see.
And techniques rather than the physical specifications.
To begin, we'll speak about his reserves. There's never been anything stated about Kenjaku's curse energy reserves, but we can assume that they're high, as he's able to use curse spirit manipulation to summon semi-grade 1 curses and above while reinforcing them with his own curse energy. Kenjaku can seemingly throw out maximum techniques without anything indicating that he's exhausted himself or his reserves as well, so I think we can assume that he's on the higher side of the verse when it comes to overall curse energy amount.
I'd say he's like right beneath Gojo in terms of curse energy amount, but he's probably almost as or just as efficient as Suguna. I'd say more, but once again, Suguna's efficiency is compared directly to the 6 eyes. And like 100 says, there's no direct comparisons made about Kenny's curse energy amount or efficiency. But just logistically, been fighting for over 1,000 years, has a good, has special grade tier amounts of curse energy, never ran out of energy, was able to spam, every single use of the gravity technique, remember, is the reverse of the anti-gravity engine. So he's constantly spamming reverse curse techniques, which takes twice as much energy as regular technique, because curse energy times curse energy for positive energy. He's able to cast the domain expansion and keep fighting after that, consistently spam curse spirit. He's got dumb, stupid efficiency and probably amounts of curse energy. Because, obviously, he probably needs to fuel a decent amount of curse energy to reinforce, like 100 said. So, yeah, I'd say he's probably up there as, number 2 efficiency-wise, or number 3 because of Gojo. So, number 3 efficiency-wise, then, probably number 3 or 4 amount-wise. He is pretty cracked, we'll see.
Next is his reinforcement and output. Kenjaku seems to have insanely high reinforcement due to his ability to combat Yuki directly. Kenjaku was also able to absorb Mahito using
and the Rika feats, but that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Spirit manipulation with ease and 0 conditions, as this technique requires you to be 2 grades above your target in order to consume them.
In Mahito's defense, though, Gege came out and said Mahito and Jogo would typically be hard for Kenjaku to acquire. Yes, Kenjaku, not even Geto. And also, that Mahito was, basically dead. That's why Mahito couldn't fight back at all. He was on empty. He had nothing. That was the whole point. I think Kenny even, thanks Yuji for that. He's like, oh, thank you for putting him in such a state like this. I wouldn't have, it would have been an hassle to get him otherwise. Appreciate you, Gangaruni. Thanks, son. And then just ate him. That's it.
Being able to absorb a cursed spirit as powerful as Mahito is a feat in itself. His reinforcement is certainly high, but there's really nothing on his cursed energy output. Given the character we're speaking about, we can assume that is high. Kenjaku will also be having access to 2 cursed techniques. One is...
He do be right, though, because now I think about it, output-wise, Kenny doesn't, hurt anybody with punches. Neither does Geto, really. I think he may make Yuta bleed with a hit from Playful Clap, but, that's it. He doesn't actually do too much damage physically.
Cursed spirit manipulation in the other anti-gravity system. Cursed spirit manipulation seems to play as Kenjaku's primary technique in battle, as he uses it to use his cursed spirits as familiars to assist him in all sorts of ways. This technique is quite potent, as it allows Kenjaku to be a Pokemon trainer who can use all sorts of cursed spirits with all different kinds of abilities to his advantage, and he can use all of these cursed spirits at the same time. Not only this, but Kenjaku can also amplify the strength of these cursed spirits with his own cursed energy to make them more powerful than they already are. For example, the centipede cursed spirits that Kenjaku would use against Yuji and Choso were stated to be low-grade weak curses themselves, but when amplified by his cursed energy, they're able to completely shred the 2. So imagine what Kenjaku can do with the special grade cursed spirits when he's using them in battle. Cursed spirit manipulation also has a
I'm not gonna keep repeating myself, you know what I'm gonna say.
maximum technique called Uzumaki. This technique condenses many of Kenjaku's cursed spirits into a singular powerful attack with the bonus effect of extracting the technique of any one of the curses he sacrificed while using the ability. For example, when using this technique against Miwa, he would extract the ability of Mahito in order to use his idol transfiguration 1 time. Kenjaku's second curse technique is anti-gravity system. The base application of this technique is to negate the gravity around himself, himself. But Kenjaku tends to use the curse technique reversal of this technique in order to massively increase the gravity surrounding him within a 2 to 3 meter radius, rather than completely negating it, allowing him to slam his opponents to the ground and keep them there for about 6 seconds. It's pretty powerful, as Choson Garuda cannot move an inch when hit by this technique. Kenjaku has a domain expansion called Womb Profusion. This technique manifests a pillar made of cursed spirits into the real world, with the sure hit seeming to be the anti-gravity chamber's technique reversal.
The only thing is, though, I used to think it was that too, just because, like, you could get slammed down, but now, like, just with him saying it, and just knowing the body he's in, it's just Uzumaki. In fact, it even has the same impact effect as Uzumaki, in terms of, like, the downward blast into the explosion. Specifically, if you go back to what he just referenced, like, the Shibuya Uzumaki, see how it has that same, like, volley of energy that comes down, then there's a massive hole? That's the same thing that happens to Yuki. That's the sure hit. It's a Uzumaki sure hit. It's not the anti-gravity engine. And the reason we know it's not an anti-gravity engine is because the domain is called a regular domain expansion, not a domain expansion reversal. Because in order for the anti-gravity engine to be made the sure hit, he would have had to have, like, not just done a regular domain, but a curse technique reversal domain, and it's not specified as that. Typically, whenever a reversal technique is used, we know about it, but then again, at the same time, maybe say Gege is willing to hide it, but he did give us, like, the full name of the domain. So I think it is just Uzumaki, based on, like, how it looked back in Shibuya versus how we see Uzumaki look again, and the fact that it just wouldn't really make sense for it to be the anti-gravity engine, especially when the pillar that forms behind Kenjaku is clearly made of, like, cursed spirits and stuff like that. It seems to be CSM, but let's say.
Massively amplifying the gravity within the domain's radius and almost crushing his opponents with it by slamming them downward. It seems to hit hard, as it left Yuki in a real bad condition after hitting her directly. With this technique being an open barrier domain used by Kenjaku, you can assume that it's bigger than most domains in the series. Not only this, but it allows him to defeat most sorcerers in domain clashes with ease, as his can hit the outside of their domain shell with this technique and destroy their domains from the outside rather than the inside. Exactly what Sukuna would do to Gojo in their first clash in 225. Kenjaku's domain expansion also seems to be the only domain in the series with a curse technique reversal as its sure hit.
But see, that's also why I don't think that's the case. I think it wouldn't be glazed over so quickly if it was that important, if it was that crazy, right? Like, I thought it was for the longest, but now looking at it again, I think it is just Uzumaki. But that's fine. Once again, none of this matters. JL Diff.
Testament to his unparalleled skill as a sorcerer. Lastly, Kenjaku has reverse curse technique, so he has the ability to regenerate any damage that he may take. Now that I've finally been able to list what both of these guys are capable of, let's quickly compare the two, then pit them against one another. When it comes to their respective strength and speed, neither Yuta or Kenjaku really stand out, honestly, so I'll leave them equal there.
It's true. Rika helps, but, like, it's weird. These two characters are so weird in terms of their strength.
I believe when it comes to durability and endurance, Kenjaku takes the edge. Kenjaku was able to withstand Yuki's attacks and continue to fight, whereas Yuta could withstand Ryu's attacks for a little bit, but lose poise as they would clash their attacks. Lastly, when it comes to battle intelligence, I'd say that Kenjaku certainly takes it, being able to deduce and break down Comedian instantly is a feat like none other. But Yuta's no slouch either. When it comes to techniques, I would say they're equally versatile, but Yuta does have the issue of only being able to use his techniques for 5 minutes, whereas Kenjaku has access to cursed spirits and gravity manipulation at all times. Now, I'll be going over some ways I think the battle would play out, with both fighters having access to everything described. They'll be bloodlusted, and of course, since the
only 2 minutes for the battle? That's crazy.
element of surprise is what always determines a battle in Jujutsu Kaisen, I will be taking into account who I think is more of a con artist out of the two as well. When I play out the battle, I'm certain that Yuta would be aware of the level and kind of opponent that he's facing, so he will pull out everything ASAP. I think a full manifestation of Rika would come into play as soon as the battle begins, either to overwhelm Kenjaku himself or to handle his cursed spirits ASAP. Kenjaku, on the other hand, has been shown to consistently work to exploit his opponent's weaknesses and techniques before anything else, so I believe that Kenjaku would unironically run away and attempt to stall out Yuta's 5 minutes before attempting to put him down. Either Yuta doesn't allow Kenjaku to get away and overwhelms him in his army of cursed spirits with his multitude of techniques, or Kenjaku and his cursed spirits manage to stall out Yuta's 5 minutes and go in for the steamroll shortly after. No matter which way this fight goes, it will end up in a domain clash with the other.
Oh, so this video, wow. I was kind of waiting for it. He doesn't even... That's weird. I don't know. I mean, like, it's more interesting, but, like, why are we not talking about why it's a JL diff? I'm gonna, you know what, after the record, I'm gonna check the comment. That's kind of crazy. Like, this is just a JL diff. I don't know. Is he gonna say Kenny wins because he has more? Like that's the thing. The more doesn't matter. It's quantity. It's quality over quantity in this case. And the 5-minute timer, like Kenny and the Cursed Spirits are not dodging JL. They're not dodging Jacob's Ladder. They're fried. They're fried. G. Especially if Yuta just grabs Kenny. They're fried. Like what? What? I don't know. That's it. I mean, maybe he'll mention it. There's still like a minute left. Let's see.
Against the wall. If Yuta prevents Kenjaku from stalling him out, Kenjaku would really have no other choice but to use his domain.
And I don't think it's gonna go to a domain clash. That's the thing. I don't think a domain clash would happen. Especially if Yuta is like we agree on the idea that Yuta's probably immediately going for the 5-minute timer, but 5-minute timer into instant JL, not 5-minute timer into brawl into domain clash. I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, like it's a more interesting end to the fight than JL diff, but like, intrigue, 100 intrigue. Let's see.
Expansion to simultaneously handle both Yuta and Rika. If Kenjaku managed to stall out Yuta and go in for the steamroll, Yuta would still have access to his domain expansion anyway, as he would still have tons of cursed energy left. So from my perspective, they would end up clashing no matter what. Despite Yuta getting the ability to counter domains with an open barrier, Kenjaku is still stated to be the second greatest user of barrier techniques in history, only behind Tengen herself. So I'd bet on Kenjaku winning it from there, and quite handily. Kenjaku could also just fight Yuta and Rika directly with his special grade Cursed Spirits amplified by himself, but I just believe that no matter which way this goes, one of them will be attempting to use a domain expansion to decide the battle and wipe their opponent from there. I think Yuta and Kenjaku are equally sneaky and conniving when it comes to fighting, but Kenjaku's ability to see something and instantly tear it down is unparalleled. So I really do think that Kenjaku deciding to stall out the 5 minutes is what he would always go for. So with that said, if I had to make a Jujutsu Kaisen parlay and Yuta versus Kenjaku was on there, I'd feel more safe betting on the Kenjaku money line, but I wouldn't blame you if you put the Yuta money line instead. With that said, I hope you guys
Okay. I mean, subscribe to like the video. I mean, the video it's well edited. Once again, 100's a fantastic content creator, so I'm gonna give the worthiness out. Obviously, 100's still peak, but I think that's a. Hold on, let me see something. When did this video come out, dog? When did this video come out? Hold on. No, wait. wait. When did this, this video came out 4 months ago. It came out 4 months ago. He didn't even mention Jacob's Ladder. It's fine. I disagree. And that's crazy, right? Because if you know me, I'm always hyped for a Yuta L. But like in this case in particular, and like Yuta against any reincarnated sorcerer now because of JL, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think a domain clash happens. And I think Kenny would be desperate enough to go for a domain, or he'd be desperate enough to run, but I don't think he's fast enough to dodge JL. It's a beam of light. Sukuna couldn't dodge it either time. Like I don't think that's happening. So I personally disagree. I put like if this going with his like betting analogy, I don't gamble and I don't recommend gambling. But if I were to put a 5-leg parlay on something, it's on Yuta JLing immediately, and everything Kenny does doesn't work, including Kenny himself, and he dies. I said that from the start. I'll say it here again at the end. But that's my thought. That's different. But clearly 100 thinks differently. I mean, that's fine. That's fine though. Each their own. It's fine. He does. Once again, that was a more interesting scenario than just JL diff of the video. So. Overall, a W video. If you haven't seen this video, though, please do me a favor and leave no diff with a question mark. Leave no diff with a question mark at the end. Specifically, no diff question mark in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Well, now a member of this channel, you have to go back over to the main channel that got the pencil in order to become a member. And with that, you get things like ad-free versions of all my videos, early access to all my videos, your name at the end of every single video I produce over the main channel, and probably over here. I'm probably gonna start doing it over here. Just that these videos don't come out as frequently; they come out once a week. But I am planning to have a bunch of these ready. So essentially, get your name at the end of read aloud of every single video if you become a member, $3 member or up. And on top of that, early access. Once I start actually producing the versus battles again, you're even gonna get the scripts for those because they are written. I have them. I just don't want to let them out before the videos themselves are out. But regardless, you can also just drop 5 beans to the Ko-Fi description down below, or 25 beans to the Ko-Fi if you want a short video or a specific long reaction video like these. 25 B's with the Ko-Fi for a one-time. I greatly appreciate it. But regardless, I want to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Got the Reaction, cutting off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Redwolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Giyomi, Pura Ura, Enzo, Swift Strike, Super Flame Zero, Yuki Ally, ASO2404, Striker Man, Grim, Straw, Ollie, DeBoy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Official Popeyes, Ramondo Furen, Crie Panem, Sarah Fiel, Dino, Axis XZ, Plant Crone, Pickle, Heath Nelson, Hector Gonzalez, P-Sub, Black Sage, Zapro, Tim Thomas, Alex Kenny, Kaving, Julian Perez, 8SOA, Akolade Babatunde, Union I, Oryxen, and Nevis97. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our line art tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, and Midnight Lord 21. Then, I'd like to give a thank you to our ink tier members: King RTX and Shrimpo the 4th Shrimp 06. And I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a final thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walking Munoz and Walking Munoz.